Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva. Jaya Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva, Gurudeva, Jaya Gurudeva. Oh, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Oh, Nita Gaura Haribo, 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 Nita Gaura Haribo. Oh, Nita Gaura Haribol, 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 Nita Gaura Haribol. Oh, Nita Gaura Haribol, 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 Nita Gaura Haribol. Nita Gaura Premanande.
Hare Krishna. I have this. So if anybody has a question, they usually pass this one around. Agyanam timirandasya Gyananjana salakaya Chaksuranmilitam yena Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namah Yang Pravajantam Manupetam Apeta Krityam Dvaipayano Viraha Kataruha Juhav Putreti Tanmayataya Taravo Benedos Tang Sarvabhu Hridayam Muni Manatosmi Bhaktya Vinay Aparadavakshay Chabtasya Kamadi Tarangamadye Kripamai Tvam Sharanam Prapadyam Brinde Namaste Charanaravind Tavoivasmi Tavoivasmi Najivami Tambana Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tam Nayamam Charanantike Kripayati Yadi Radha Padita Shishabadha Kimaparavashishtam Pushti Maryadi Yormi Yadi Vadati Chakinchit Smera Sodita Srir Twijavaramani Pantya Mukti Shuktya Tadakim Shama Sundara Shikanda Sekar Smera Samurali Manohara Radhikara Sikama Swapriya Charana Kinkar Prananatha Vrishabhanu Nandini Srimukhabjara Salola Satapada Radhika Paratale Kritastitim Tam Bhajami Rasikendra Shekhar Sambhidaya Dashine Trinam Vivo Prartaye Brajamahendra Nandana Astu Mohan Tavati Balava Janma Janmani Mari Svati Priya. First I offer my unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Diksha Gurudev, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Astotra Sat Shishimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, and the same unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Shiksha Gurudevs, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Astotra Sat Shishimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Goswami Maharaj, Shishimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj, and Shishimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, to all his divine associates, and to all the assembled devotees and the assembled devotees, Diksha Gurus who are my Shiksha Gurus, Shishimad Bhakti Vedanta Madhav Maharaj, Shishimad Bhakti Vedanta Ban Maharaj, and Shishimad Bhakti Vedanta Siddhanti Maharaj. So what an auspicious day it is today. It's the most auspicious day. If Krishna hadn't come 5,000 years ago, then he couldn't have left. He and Radha couldn't have left Sukadeva, the parrot, his Sukha parrot, on earth. Stay here. We're going, but you stay here and broadcast the scriptures, broadcast Srimad Bhagavatam. And then we wouldn't have had the commentators to Srimad Bhagavatam, and who wrote their own books based on the ancient Vedic scriptures. That is the 6 Goswamis and their descendants. So not only that, but we really wouldn't have anything. We wouldn't know how to see anything. Lord Brahma wouldn't have been able to write his Brahma Samhita with the glories and the glory of Krishna as a Supreme Lord. And Brahma wouldn't have been able to be in the pastimes of Krishna hadn't he come. So, and Lord Chaitanya also wouldn't have come to review what happened and teach what we're supposed to learn from it all. So as you know, our Guru Varga is always insisting that Krishna took his birth, today's his birthday, on the Astami, the 8th day of the waning moon. But although it was the 8th day of the waning moon, the moon appeared as a full moon because the moon was so joyful that Krishna was appearing on that day. Also, the moon, just like the sun, is the ancestor of Lord Ram. His father Dasarath, King Dasarath, he appeared in the dynasty of the sun. Similarly, Krishna appeared in the dynasty of the moon. So the moon was overjoyed. And as you know, there's the controversy of whether Krishna took birth in Mathura or Krishna took birth in Vrindavan. So by the mercy of our Gurudev, who is representing all of our Guru Varga, we know the actual truth. And I'm reading this Krishna book this morning where Srila Prabhupada, in his summary study of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, he's telling what happened when Krishna appeared in the jail of Kamsa and what happened when Krishna took birth. You know, it says that Krishna took birth in the midnight, at that moment of midnight. And that's why everybody fasts till then. But then Srila Bharati Maharaj explained that really Krishna's birthday is tomorrow on Prabhupada's appearance day, because that's where they held the birth ceremony. And we'll be coming to that in a couple of minutes. So Krishna couldn't have taken birth in Mathura because nobody takes birth as a 16-year-old teenager carrying all the weapons of God with curly hair, helmet, and so on. That's the Vishnu form of the Lord. So when he did appear from the womb of Devaki, even before he appeared, all the demigods, Brahma, Shiva, everyone appeared in the room. When the Lord was in the womb, they appeared in the room of Devaki in the prison, and they were glorifying him as the Supreme Lord, the reservoir of everything, the source of all elements. And then, when he came out of the womb, in that four-arm form, Vasudeva, they wanted a son, but Vasudeva didn't think of him as a son. He thought of him as a Supreme Lord, and so did Devaki. Well, they were half-half, and we'll find out what happened. So they were both glorifying the Lord as the source of everything, the maintainer of everything, the destroyer of everything. Like he's like a spider. A spider is there alone, and then he creates his web, from his saliva, and then he plays in it with all the bugs, and then he brings it back into himself. So everything is created, maintained, and annihilated by the Lord. And then Devaki was also glorifying him. Haridas Prabhu, maybe he's in the bathroom. So he just came in. He's the picture finder, and he puts the pictures here on the different holidays. So Devaki was saying things like, at the time of dissolution, everything kind of condenses and comes back into your abdomen. Good. Into your abdomen. And the amazing thing is that you appeared from my abdomen. But then, because she was 50-50, that is 50% knowing that he's God and seeing that form, at the same time, she had the 50% thought that he was her son, and she said, but I'm kind of worried because of this aerial voice that Kamsa heard, that you, my eighth womb, would kill him. So he's been killing all of your elder brothers, and I'm worried that that'll happen to you, even though she said there's nothing outside of you. So please become invisible. Means hide, don't exist, but please hide your God shape and become a little baby so that we can hide you somewhere. So the Lord was speaking to them, and he said, I'm very pleased with you because for many births you've been my parents. First, in your previous form as Vasudev, in your previous form as, anybody know? Prishni Asutapa. And your wife, Devaki's wife, was Prishni. He was Prishni. She was Prishni and he was Sutapa. So I came as Prishni Garbha. I came from the Garbha, or the womb, of Prishni. Because you were one of the Prajapatis. You know who the Prajapatis are? They're the ones, they're all sons of Brahma, and they're assigned by Lord Brahma to spread progeny all over the universe, because there was nothing really happening yet. So you and your wife perform severe austerities. For how long? Like we think, when am I ever going to become a gopi? After 5 years or so. But they were doing severe austerities for 12,000 years. You know what they were eating? The grass, not grass, the leaves that had become dry and thus had fallen from the trees to the ground. That's what they were eating. Only. And you were sitting in meditation and worshiping me for all those years. If I had come as a baby, then you would not have believed that I'm actually the Supreme Lord. So therefore I've come just to show you, which really isn't the greatest thing in the world. What's the greatest thing? To come as a baby. The benediction that Mother Yasoda got. So actually, I was your son as Prishni and Sutapa. And then you came again as Aditi and Kashyap. You know, there was Diti and Aditi. They were both wives of Kashyap Muni, very powerful sage. And Diti forced him to have sex life at an inauspicious time, when Lord Shiva was passing by on his bull with all the ghosts and hobgoblins. So who did she get as a son, or two sons? Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. And the whole universe was pouring down blood and stools and bones. And the whole universe became black when they were born. Very powerful, carrying a mace from the beginning. But then her sister, Aditi, she, just like Prishni and Sutapa, she prayed to the Lord after her severe austerity, their austere austerities, severe austerities. They prayed when he said, I'm very pleased with you. You can ask for any benediction. So they said, we want a son like you. Actually, this was back also in the Prishni and Sutapa days. We want a son like you, a son like you, a son like you. So he said, well, where will you find a son like me? I will become your son. So he became their son. But they knew that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then who was Aditi's son? There was some big problem with the demons. And so he came as Upendra. You know Upendra's other name? Vamandev. And he got back the universe, could say, from the demons as Vamandev. You know the whole pastime with Bali Maharaj. And now, for the third time, you came as Vasudeva and Devaki, and I came as Krishna to be your son. So they said, a son like you, a son like you, a son like you. So therefore I came in three of your births. So I'm your eternal son, so I'm very pleased with you. And I see that when I asked for the benediction, you did not ask for the highest liberation, but you asked for me to be your son. And so I'm so pleased with you. But at the same time, there was another couple named Drona and Dhara. Drona was the father, he was the king of the mountains and the father of the Himalayas, Dronachala, the mountain Drona. And his wife was Dhara. And they did severe austerities for many thousands of years. And they asked, in fact, I think it was Devaki and Vasudeva, who stood upside down on their nails for thousands of years. And finally they ate only air. But Drona and Dhara asked for a different kind of benediction. Do you know what they asked for?
They wanted to love him like a son, Lord like a son.
What does that mean?
They wanted to have a parental mood towards.
Yes, they wanted a parental mood towards the Lord. They prayed for Vatsalya Bhav, which means when Vatsalya Bhav, you don't know that the Son is God. You just think he's your ordinary son. Even when Krishna displayed his universal form, so to speak, I mean, there were like many universes, many Brahmas, and all the elements were going in and out, and even she saw herself breastfeeding Krishna at the same time. So she thought that he was haunted by a ghost or under some magic spell. Because, it's when he opened his mouth, when the boys were complaining that Krishna was eating earth. And so she said, okay, so you're eating earth. No, I wasn't eating earth, mother. Well, the boys ganged up against me. Yeah, but Balaram is also saying that you ate earth. Well, he just conspired with them. All right, open your mouth and let me see if you ate the earth. And that's when she saw many universes together. And she said, all right, well, close your mouth. She thought that some ghost or magic had come. And he was able to have many, many mothers. Like all the elderly coward ladies were also like his mothers. And he knew that they wanted to be a mother like Yasoda, who got to be with him all the time. So they were always waiting. When is Krishna going to come here and steal my yogurt and butter? So gopi after gopi after gopi, Krishna would entertain them. Like there was one gopi, Krishna came, and what did that have to do with timings? Yes. And Krishna's, as soon as Krishna put his hand in the butter pot, she immediately caught him. What is your hand doing in my butter pot? Well, Mother Yasoda gave me this birthday present, a bracelet, but it was made of hard diamonds and other jewels, and it hurt my hand. It was too hot and too tight. So I had to cool myself off. So I put my hand in the butter pot. Well, really, that's interesting. Well, then why is there butter all over your mouth? Well, that's because the monkeys were stealing the butter, and they wanted to frame me. They didn't want to get the blame. So they put butter and yogurt all over my mouth. And so she burst out laughing, and at that, he ran away. So he was not stealing butter because he already owns all the butter in existence, but he was stealing hearts. So back to Mother Devaki. So she asked Krishna that we want to protect you from Kamsa. So please take the form of a little baby, which he did. Now, how did he get that form as a little baby? Well, of course. But what happened is Krishna took birth at the exact same moment that Krishna appeared in the womb of Devaki. So the Krishna that took birth from the womb of Jashoda, crying, ka, 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 that's the Krishna we worship, isn't it? We don't worship the Krishna who's the husband of Rukmini and Satyabhama. Does anybody know that verse? Arajo Bhagavan Brajesha Tanayas Taddama Vrindavanam Ramya, I forgot. Ramya Kachidupasanam Prajabudir Pargena Chakalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Puranamamalam Prema Pramarto Mahan Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matamidam Tachadaro Napada. Whose verse is this? Srila Viswanath Chakrabarti Thakur. He said that my worshipable deity is Krishna, and his abode, Vrindavan, is equally worshipable for me. The worship that was when Prabhupada was translating, he said Kalpana. He said invented, manufactured by the gopis. And the word is Kalpana in the Sanskrit. The worship that was manufactured by the gopis is the highest worship. And the evidence of this is in the Puranas and all the Vedic literatures. And prem is prema pumarto mahan. The highest stage that anyone can reach is prem. And how do I know this? This is the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And I am not interested in anyone else's teachings. So here, Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur is saying, so I worship that Krishna in Vrindavan, who when he was born from the womb of Yashoda, he cried, ka, ka, ka. That's how Gurudev explained it. Not the husband of Rukmini and Satyabhama, where he's worshipped in opulence. So when Devaki said, please become a little baby, the little baby, the original Adi Purusham, Sri Krishna, he expanded himself to be the baby in Mathura. So that way, Mathura also had a baby, but that baby was from Krishna in Vrindavan. I mentioned this the other day. Somebody asked our Prabhupada, can you tell us something about the gopis? And Prabhupada said, the gopis? You can't even understand how is it that Vasudeva kidnapped the daughter of his best friend, Nanda Baba, to be sacrificed at the hands of Kamsa. Right? Can you understand that? So then Prabhupada explained how it was possible, because the girl baby who was there as Krishna's twin sister minus a half hour, that was Yogamaya. And she said, come on, take me. So everyone is under the control of Yogamaya there. So in that way, you're correct. So what happened was, by the will of Yogamaya, automatically it started storming, ferocious winds and rain, and then it was midnight, so everyone was already asleep. The guards happened to also be asleep. The shackles opened, and the doors, big heavy doors opened, and Vasudeva, because the Dwarkadish teenage Krishna said, take me to Gokul and trade me with the daughter of Jashoda. So he was following his instructions. So how could he get across the Jamuna River? It was toiling and boiling over. But then Vasudeva noticed that there was a jackal. How could the jackal be standing in the river if it's so high and ferocious waves? So he realized there's a place over there where I could just cross, and that's what he did. Just a little side story. Srila Prabhupada came to visit our Boston temple, and at that time in that temple, there was the Vyasasana, and then there was also steps leading up to the Vyasasana. So Prabhupada wouldn't walk up the steps because they were full of pictures. He'd walk up something on the side. So he was bowing down in front of the steps, and we were also bowing down with him. And then he was getting up, but he stopped when he was on his knees. And he stopped in front of this picture of Vasudeva carrying Krishna across the Jamuna, and there was a jackal in the background, and there was a beautiful young lady wearing a white, thin dress. So Prabhupada told us a story when we were all on our hands and knees. Prabhupada was wearing that Swami hat. And he said that when Vasudeva was bringing Krishna across the Jamuna, the waves were coming so high in the middle of the Jamuna that, what do you have there? Good. This was done by my godbrother Ramdas Abhiram. And so Krishna was so high, carrying over his head, but the waves came high. And then Krishna fell into the Jamuna. And you can imagine Vasudeva became like a mad person looking for Krishna in these waves. And then all of a sudden, this beautiful lady came out of the water. She said, "I'm the Jamuna River, and I just wanted to play with your child. So now I'm giving him back to you." So also because it was raining so hard, Lord Shesh took the form of he had the form of a giant serpent with millions of hoods. So he became the umbrella, as you can see there, for Vasudeva. And finally they reached the palace of Jashoda, and Vasudeva did not see Krishna there. By the arrangement of Yogamaya, he saw nothing. He only saw Yogamaya. So he was thinking that I'm putting my son down and I'm taking the girl. But what was really happening was the original baby Krishna was lying there. Vasudeva just didn't see him. So when he put the baby down, that baby merged with the original Krishna and became one. Just like when Balaram was transferred from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini in Vrindavan, he merged with the baby Balaram that was already in the womb of Mohini. After 6 months, he was transferred. He merged with the original Balaram, and then after 8 months he was born, 8 more months. So similarly with Krishna. Then he took the baby girl, as you know the history, took the baby girl, went back to the prison. The door was open, then it closed, then the shackles went on him, and then Kamsa came, and he was surprised that the aerial voice said this was a boy. But you can't trust those demigods. So he took the baby anyway and thrashed her on a rock like he did the other babies. But what happened? Somebody say? Hmm? Yeah, she was the material energy. She flew up into the air and became her original 10-armed form. And she said, "You think that you can kill me? The baby who will kill you, he is already born somewhere." Yeah.
Didn't she also kick him?
I don't remember that part. She kicked him? Oh, Kamsa, you fool. Yeah. All right, so that's what happened regarding Vasudeva and Devaki. So many beautiful prayers. But when Krishna took birth, and Vasudeva, he knows the Vedic culture, the Vedic system, the Vedic rituals, so he knew that when the son is born to a king, then you give in charity so much. Cows, thousands of cows to the brahmanas, and wealth to everybody. But he couldn't do that because he was in the prison. So what do you do? And this is a lesson also to all of us, that if we can't do something physically, we can do it by mind. So he offered everything in his mind. But in the case of Nanda Baba, when all the cowherdsmen and women heard that he had just begotten a son, they all became overjoyed, and they all ran there as fast as they could, and they decorated themselves beautifully, because it was a great party. You can all decorate yourself as you like tonight, and then see the birth of Krishna. And what they did was, they were all dressed in very opulent clothing and ornaments, and the men had big, big turbans, and the ladies had scented cosmetics, lipstick, but it wasn't the fake lipstick that they wear these days. It was all, juice from fruits, like Radharani. She already has red lips that are perfect, but just to show Krishna that she's interested, she put the red, or her servants, maidservants, put the red bimba juice on her lips. And the ladies had big hips and big breasts, so it was difficult for them to run very quickly. But because it was such a joyous occasion, they ran as fast as they could. They all wore beautiful ornaments, pearl necklaces, jeweled necklaces, and they all looked more beautiful because they were running and their ornaments were swinging. And then they came to the place. Can you find that verse that proves that Nanda Baba is Krishna's son? Pasupangajaya, you find. Same verse. Yeah. And there is another one which is Jayati te dikam janmana prajam. And this verse was sung by the greatest authorities, the gopis. That Krishna took birth in the land of Braj, and thus Braj has become more glorious than Vaikuntha. And the goddess of fortune came from Vaikuntha, and now she's cleaning and decorating all the alleyways and gullyways, kunjas of Vrindavan, to make everything ready for Krishna. Yanandatmaja Pasupangajaya. It's in the 10th canto. I believe it's the 5th chapter. So this is evidence not only that Nanda and Yashoda are the parents of Krishna, but that this land of Vrindavan, the land of sweetness, is superior to the land of just opulence, like Vaikuntha, Dwarka, Mathura, because the flowers of Vrindavan are shiny like the jewels in Vaikuntha or Dwarka, but the jewels in Vaikuntha or Dwarka don't have any scent, whereas these flowers are very fragrant, they're shiny, more so than the jewels, and they're soft. The diamonds and rubies and jewels are hard there. But there's no need for them to be soft, because there's no rasa dance and then sleeping together in the kunj, and so there's no need for the softness. And they all get broken at night as well. And then the manjaris and gopis, they when they see what happened, they still don't see what happened. They saw how the broken flowers were arrayed on the flower bed. Then they knew what happened. And they also experienced what happened. And so Nanda Baba gave about 200,000 cows to the brahmanas. And there's a reason for all that. In general life, people engage in impure things, even unwillingly. Like you just walk around and you step on so many bugs and you breathe in so much bacteria. Go ahead. Louder. Can he get the mic? So this is another authority, Sukadeva Goswami.
Shri Shukavacha Nanda Stvatmaja Utpane Jatalado Mahamana Ahuya Vipramveda Gyan Snata Shuchira Lankrita. Then there's another verse. Vachayetva Swastyayanang Jata Kardmachasadvai Karayam Asa Vidivat Pitradevarchanam Tata. Shukadeva Goswami said, Nanda Maharaj was naturally very magnanimous, and when Lord Shri Krishna appeared as his son, he was overwhelmed by jubilation. Therefore, after bathing and purifying himself and dressing himself properly, he invited brahmanas who knew how to recite Vedic mantras. After having these qualified brahmanas recite auspicious Vedic hymns, he arranged to have the Vedic birth ceremony celebrated for his newborn child according to the rules and regulations, and he also arranged for worship of the demigods and forefathers.
What? Nanda Baba worshipped demigods and forefathers? It's just pastimes because Krishna is not God. He's their son. So why do they worship the demigods and forefathers? To please their son, so that Krishna would be happy. Another important word he said is ahlada. What was that word? He was overjoyed to have his son born. Yeah, that his son was born, not the Supreme Lord as we read about Devaki and Vasudeva. So he gave 200,000 cows, but they weren't ordinary cows. They were decorated. They were also ornamented. And they were given garlands of peacock feathers and jeweled things at the end of the horns, and their hoofs were covered by silver and gold. So because we do impure things during our life, and sometimes our living, the way we make our living is not perfect either. So we need to purify our existence by doing austerities, studying the Vedas for the purpose of finding out the absolute truth, doing austerities, giving in charity to the Brahmins. Why to the Brahmins? Because it's supposed that they know how to utilize that wealth for the service of the Supreme Lord. And not only did he give thousands of cows, but he also gave big mountains of grains. And not only that, but the grains were also had a beautiful border of opulent ornaments and garments. Everything was opulent to the max. How was that able to happen? They just did cows. Nanda Baba had no other business but cows. Cows is wealth. Godana. One main wealth of the cows is the Godana, the Go Raja. The wealth of the cows is also the dust, and that facilitates the pastimes in Vrindavan when Krishna is coming home at night and he's coming back with thousands of cows, and then the dust of the cows raise up, and some of the flying dust falls on Krishna's hair and face, and he looks even more beautiful. So the householder has to do that, and Nanda Baba knew all the rules and regulations. And then he also had the brahmanas chant auspicious mantras for the blessings of the child, and also to sing knowledge everywhere. What else went everywhere? The gopas, when they saw the gopis, the elderly, they weren't so elderly, but they were old enough to be Krishna's parents, they became very happy, and they started throwing butter and yogurt. And then the gopis, they were throwing, and then everyone was throwing butter and yogurt at each other. So they had so much wealth from the cows that they were able to throw tons of butter at each other. And not only that, because you can make, how much can you make with milk? So many preparations. And so they could bring that to the market and trade. And so for that, they got so much jewelry, so many garments. So in that way, just by trading, because that was Nanda Baba's business, agriculture and trading, because he was of the mercantile community. So besides the fact that there were Vedic hymns being uttered, there was also kettle drums outside the houses and bugles and other instruments. And that could be heard throughout all the cow pastures in so many places. And they sprinkled the roads, all the roads in the village, with scented water. They also sprinkled Krishna with turmeric and oil and yogurt and milk and ghee for auspiciousness. And then they sprinkled each other too. They sprinkled everybody. So wealthy. And they also all brought presentations for Krishna. So way back in the 60s, when we didn't exactly have the manuscript yet, but we just had Prabhupada's letters explaining what to paint. So one of the descriptions was that during the birth ceremony, the cowherd boys would carry grains and other foodstuffs on, they have this stick, and then you have the buckets or bags, depending what you're carrying. So Prabhupada wrote, we don't have the original Krishna book, right? With those old paintings. It's in the big Krishna book, the big number 1. This is already a later version, so that we had later paintings. I doubt it. Yeah, maybe. All right. So anyway, Prabhupada actually probably actually drew a stick figure drawing. Crazy as I am, I didn't keep it, of the boys carrying the sticks with the bundles or the buckets of milk. So we tried to copy that as well as we could, considering we were from New York, never been to India, didn't have any manuscripts. We did the best we could. And so you'll see that on the original Krishna book, the whole birth ceremony with the fire sacrifice and the brahmanas chanting the Vedic hymns, singing. Yeah. And then the boys carrying that. And everyone was overjoyed as he read Lad. That verse about the first verse that you did, can you do that again? That's a very important verse that proves that Krishna is the son, actual son of Nanda Baba. That proves that Krishna, in his original feature, that's the source of all other expansions and all other incarnations, is Vrindavan. Proves the superiority, that one, but the one of the gopis too, proves the superiority and increased opulence of Vrindavan over Vaikuntha. Proves the superiority of sweetness, madhurya, over Aishwarya, or opulence.
Which picture do you want from the first?
Very, very old. You see, it's very badly done. It's like a 5-year-old did it.
I found them online. I just need it. Which one?
I can find it. It's so bad. But it got the point. Oh yeah, those are the originals. Well, that's Dwarka. I don't see any. Oh, here we are. Okay, it's this one. Yeah. If you want to see it.
Did you draw that one, Didi?
Yeah.
I have the
I might have been the only artist at that time.
Is this Gargamuni? Who's that?
He's one of the Brahmins chanting the Vedic mantras. And the musicians are there. The boys are there. Fire sacrifice is there. Everything's there. And when we were substituting paintings, he'll go around. When later on, many years later, when we got technically better, and me and the production manager decided to substitute all the pictures from the original so they would be more technically better. Sometimes it didn't fit the exact story. So Prabhupada was very upset because the original did at least fit. Thank you. Did at least fit the original story. He said, these are, and whenever we would send him the paintings, those old originals, he would put them on his wall in Los Angeles, and he'd put flowers on them, and he'd say, these are our ISKCON mottos, these paintings. There was one more evidence I wanted to give. Oh, how Madhurya is superior to Aishwarya. And Gurudev gives a very nice analogy of salt and sugar. Like if you have 1 ounce of salt and no sugar, what's the taste going to be like? Salty. Or you feel like you swallowed the Atlantic Ocean when you accidentally, the wave came. It's not nice. And so then if you have 2 ounces of salt and a pound of, or 2 ounces of salt and 2 ounces of sugar, you have more salt, but it's not as salty because the sugar is there. And then if you have a pound of salt and 20 pounds of sugar, then it's going to be hardly, barely any salt taste. And if you have 10 pounds of salt and a ton of sugar, no taste at all. The point here, the salt is opulence and the sugar is sweetness. According to the ratio, the taste changes. So in Vaikuntha, there's no sweetness. In Dwarka, there's more sweetness, although there's more opulence. In Mathura, there's a lot more sweetness, although there's still opulence. In Vrindavan, there's complete sweetness, but you don't taste the opulence because there's too much sweetness. But there's more opulence in Vrindavan than there is in the other places. You just don't taste it. And that is the definition of Madhurya, which is that although there's so much opulence, Krishna doesn't pass over his human-like pastimes. In other words, he just casually lifted this mountain on the nail of his left finger, and everybody was worried about him. His mother was in so much anxiety. The gopis were ready to curse Govardhan. If you fall 1 inch on Krishna, we're going to burn you to ashes with our glance. And the coward boys were thinking, well, we have to help Krishna out, so we'll hold up the mountain too with our sticks, with our coward sticks. So in this way, there's more opulence, but it doesn't show at all. Like the gopis called Krishna Yogeswara. Yogeswara generally means the master of all yogis. But that's not what they meant. They meant that in rasa dance, Krishna was dancing so fast that he seemed to be with each girl at the same time. Do you get that? At the same time. So everybody, and so the yoga part of it was that everybody thought he was with them. That he's only with me, except for Radharani. She could see his trickery. So I think that's a good place to end. And I'll ask if there's any questions or comments.
Didi, I have one comment and 2 questions. The other verse that you mentioned, Pashupanga Jaya, I found that one as well.
The what?
The other
Jayati Dedikam?
Well, you also mentioned, not that one, but Pashupanga Jaya.
Yeah.
That's from Brahma Vimohan Leela. I found that shloka as well.
Oh.
It's 10:14:1 in case anyone wants to know.
Mm.
And then the 2 questions.
Pashupanga Jaya is that?
Pashupanga Jaya is translated as the son of the cowherd, Nanda Maharaj.
But what? Oh, that's another good one.
Yeah.
But what's that whole verse? Oh yeah, that's a different verse, but it has Pashupanga Jaya in it.
Yeah.
That's another evidence. Good. Yeah, that is Brahma's first prayer.
Gunjavatam Shaparipi Chalasan Mukaya Vanyashaje Kavalavetra Vishana Venu Lakshma Shriye Mridupade Pashupanga Jaya.
Meaning?
Lord Brahma said, "My dear Lord, you are the only worshipable Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore I offer my humble obeisances and prayers just to please you. O son of the king of the cowherds, your transcendental body is dark blue like a new cloud. Your garment is brilliant like lightning, and the beauty of your face is enhanced by your gunja earrings and the peacock feather on your head. Wearing garlands of various forest flowers and leaves, and equipped with a herding stick, a buffalo horn, and a flute, you stand beautifully with a morsel of food in your hand."
Nice.
And
You had questions?
The 2 questions is Prishni and Sutapa and Kashyapa and Aditi. Generally, we know that by performing tapasya, one cannot achieve bhakti or receiving God as their son. So I'm curious, what anga of bhakti were they performing? Was it dhyan? Was it smaranam? Was it the...
Well, they were doing it to please the Lord. And it wasn't the age for the Kalotat Hari Kirtan. Wasn't the age for Kirtan. And Kirtan is to like hurry things up because the lives are so short. It's such a terrible age. But in the in the Satya Yuga, or the beginning of creations, austerity and worship and things like that.
Dhyan.
But it was done to please the Lord.
So they were performing like the Yuga
Huh?
Dharma. They were doing like the Yuga Dharma of that age.
Of that age.
Yeah. Then the second question, I remember in 2009 in Houston, Pujapad Tirtha Maharaj was speaking about Krishna's appearance in Mathura, on the stage with Gurudev. And I'm trying to recall, but I wanted to ask you, are there variations of the story of Nanda Maharaj crossing the Yamuna? Because sometimes...
You mean Vasudev?
Yeah, Vasudev. Because I think during that time, Tirtha Maharaj was saying that the level of the water of the Yamuna kept rising and rising, and then Krishna just touched his toe, and then the water started to recede. Have you heard that before?
No, but I did mention that.
She said
You mean he didn't fall in the water?
Yeah.
Oh.
It just says Gurudev would repeat this, what Tirtha Maharaj would say, that the Jamuna came up just up, and then Vasudev's raising up, and then he thinks he's gonna get drowned, but then Jamuna touches the feet of Krishna, and she subdues herself.
Because she just wanted to reach his feet.
Basically, she just wanted to play with Krishna. She just wanted.
Right. So it sounds like there are, because if Gurudev is saying it, and this version that I mentioned is from the Krishna book. Yeah, you can find it in when he goes across the river. Yeah, there must be different versions. It's called Veda Kalpa, which means that different kalpas that could take place in different ways. Any last question? No? Okay, then we'll end here. Gaur Premanandi, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Krishna Book ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Gaura Haribo. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Gaur Premanandi. Janmastami Mahamohotsava ki jai ho. As Prabhupada said, if God doesn't have some inconceivable things, how can he be God? All right. So what's happening the rest of the day, Vasanta? You came in just at the right time. Huh? Can you speak louder? There's a large audience here. Decorations, garlands.